Welcome to Whispers After Midnight. If you love dark, unsettling stories that make you double-check the locks on your doors, you're in the right place. On this channel, I narrate the creepiest stories I can find, from chilling Reddit posts, eerie creepypastas, unsettling subscriber submissions, and mysterious old folk tales that have been whispered about for years. Now, quick disclaimer. There's no proof that these stories are real. Some might be true, some might be exaggerated, and some might just be stories people tell when the world gets a little too quiet at night. But real or not, they're all terrifying. So tonight, do yourself a favor. Turn the lights off, grab a snack, maybe pull a blanket a little closer, then sit back and listen. If you enjoy the stories, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me what kind of stories you want to hear next. Your ideas might even become the next story featured on this channel, because around here, the best stories are the ones whispered after midnight. It was late, around 2:30 in the morning, and I was just scrolling half awake, clicking through random Reddit threads to pass time. Creepy stuff, unsolved cases, things that feel real enough to keep you hooked, but distant enough that you don't actually feel involved. That's why I almost skipped it. A post in a missing person subreddit. The title was simple. My brother has been missing for 3 weeks. Please help. I hovered over it for a second. Normally, I don't open those. They feel too real, too heavy. But something about it made me click. There were photos attached. The first one didn't hit me right away. Just a normal picture. A guy standing in a driveway, sunlight behind him, hands in his pockets. I scrolled past it, then stopped, scrolled back up, and stared, because the guy in the photo looked exactly like me. Not similar, not close, exact, same face, same hair, same build, even the same awkward posture I always have in pictures, like I don't know what to do with my hands. I actually laughed, just sat there and said, "What the hell?" It didn't feel real. It felt like one of those weird internet coincidences people make videos about. Doppelgangers, lookalikes, that kind of thing. I checked the username. Normal account, a few years old. Regular activity, comments, posts, nothing out of place. Then I started reading. She said her brother, Daniel, went missing 3 weeks ago. Left for work one morning and never came back. His car was found 10 minutes from their house. Wallet still inside. Phone gone. There were more photos. Different angles, different days. Every single one of them was me. Same scar above the eyebrow. Same eyes. Same everything. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen. "That's not possible," I said out loud. Because it wasn't. It couldn't be. I checked the details again. Name, Daniel H. Age, 27. Location, a state over from me. Close enough to drive. Far enough that I'd never run into someone like that by accident. I went to the comments. Most of them were what you'd expect. People trying to help, offering advice, boosting the post. But a few stood out. One person wrote, "I swear I've seen this guy before somewhere else." Another, "Something about this feels off." I didn't like that. It made it feel less like a coincidence and more like something else. I opened one of the photos full screen and held my phone up beside it, using the black screen as a reflection. I lined up my face with his. It matched. Not perfectly, but close enough that my stomach dropped. I told myself it was just a look-alike, that it happens sometimes. I almost closed the tab, but I didn't. Instead, I kept reading. The post included details about his routine, where he worked, what time he left the house, small habits, normal things. And that's when I felt it shift, because his routine was almost identical to mine. Wake up around 7, leave around 8. Same kind of job. Even small details, like stopping at random coffee places instead of going to the same one every day. That wasn't something I talked about, not to anyone. I sat there rereading that part over and over, trying to find something that didn't line up. Something that proved this wasn't what it felt like. But everything matched. Too well. I clicked on the poster's profile, scrolled through her history. She had posted updates, more photos. One of them was a family picture. Her parents, and him. And the way they stood together, the way they looked at him. It didn't feel fake. It felt real. I zoomed in on his face, my face, and something about it made my chest tighten, because it didn't feel like I was looking at someone else anymore. It felt like I was looking at something I wasn't supposed to see. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, I opened a new tab and searched his name. Daniel H. News articles popped up. Missing person reports, basic information. But there were inconsistencies, different dates, slightly different descriptions, like the information had been copied, changed, reposted. That's when it stopped feeling like a coincidence. I went deeper. Forums, old threads, places that don't show up normally. That's where I found it. A thread with no activity, no comments, just a title. Subject match confirmed. Under it was a list of names, and one of them was his. I clicked it. The page loaded slowly. When it finally did, it wasn't a discussion. It looked like a log. Plain text, no design, no explanation, just entries, dates, times, short notes. Behavior consistent, routine stable, awareness none. I scrolled. My heart was already beating faster, but I couldn't stop. Near the bottom, one line stood out. Secondary subject remains unverified. I didn't understand it, but it didn't feel good. There was a link at the bottom of the page. No label, just random characters. I hovered over it. Not a normal URL, the kind you only see in certain parts of the internet. I hesitated. Something in my head told me not to click it, that I'd already gone far enough. But I clicked it anyway. The page that opened was simple. Black background, white text, a single search bar in the center, and above it, query subject. Nothing else. No instructions, no explanation. I stared at it for a few seconds, tried to rationalize it, some kind of database maybe. But it didn't feel like that. It felt intentional, like it was waiting. I should have closed it. But instead, I clicked the search bar and typed his name, Daniel H. I hit enter. The result appeared instantly. No loading, no delay, just there. A profile, his photo at the top, same one from Reddit. Below it, name, Daniel H. Status, active. Location, redacted. Then a timeline, detailed, way more detailed than anything I'd seen before. Daily movements, times, places, even small things. Stopped for coffee, 8:12 a.m. Delayed departure, 8:47 a.m. Route deviation, minor. It tracked everything, up until the day he went missing. That entry was different. Short, cold. Collection complete. A chill went through me, because that didn't sound like someone went missing. It sounded like something finished. I don't know why I did it, but I clicked the search bar again. And this time, I typed my own name. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I pressed enter. The screen changed instantly, and the first thing I saw was my face. Not a photo I recognized, not one I had ever taken, but it was me. Same angle, same lighting, like it had been taken without me knowing. Below it, my name, my age, my city, all correct. And then, status, processing. I just stared at it, didn't move, didn't breathe, because in that moment, I understood something. This wasn't a coincidence. Whatever happened to him was happening to me. The page refreshed on its own. A new entry appeared, time-stamped for that exact moment. Subject has become aware. I slammed my laptop shut. Like that would help, like that could stop it. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. I sat there in the dark, trying to convince myself it wasn't real, that I imagined it. But I knew I didn't. Because the photo, the one on that profile, it was recent. Very recent. I was wearing the same shirt, the same one I had on right then, and I had never taken that picture, which meant someone else did. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every sound in my apartment felt wrong. Too loud, too close. Around 4 a.m., I opened my laptop again. I don't know why. Maybe I hoped the site would be gone. But when I typed the link back in, it loaded instantly. My profile was already open, updated. There was a new entry. Subject remains at residence. My chest tightened. Because it was true. I hadn't moved. I looked around my apartment, slowly, like I expected to find something, a camera, anything. But there was nothing, just the same place. Except now I knew. I wasn't alone in it. I looked back at the screen, more entries, updating in real time, precise, accurate, impossible. And then I saw something new. A section at the bottom of the page. Matched subject. Under it, Daniel H. Status, archived. I stared at it, trying to understand, but one thing was clear. Whatever happened to him was over, and whatever was happening to me had just started. I didn't leave my apartment the next day. I told myself I just needed sleep, that I'd overreacted, that if I gave it a few hours, everything would feel normal again. It didn't. I sat on my couch with my laptop open, the site still pulled up, refreshing it every few minutes like that was somehow better than letting it update on its own. Every time it refreshed, there were new entries, small ones, precise ones. Subject mobile within residence. Device usage active. No external contact. It wasn't guessing, it was watching, and I couldn't figure out how. I checked everything. My phone, my laptop, every app, every permission, every setting I could think of. I even unplugged things, my TV, my router, anything with a camera or microphone. Didn't matter. The updates kept coming. At one point, I covered my laptop camera with tape, waited, refreshed the page. Visual obstruction noted. That's when I felt it for real. Not fear exactly. Something colder. Like whatever this was, wasn't something I could outsmart. I closed the laptop and just sat there for a while, trying to think. Because if the sight was tracking me like this, then it had been doing it before I ever found it, which meant one thing. This didn't start last night. I just noticed it last night. That thought stuck with me, and it led me back to him, Daniel. Because if I was processing and he was archived, then whatever happened to him might tell me what was about to happen to me. So I opened my laptop again, went back to the Reddit post, scrolled through it more carefully this time, looking for anything I missed. There were updates I hadn't read. The sister had posted again. She said the police weren't making progress. No leads, no suspects, nothing. Just gone. But there was one detail she mentioned that I hadn't paid attention to before. She said, a few days before he disappeared, he had been acting strange, more quiet than usual, distracted, like something was bothering him, but he wouldn't talk about it. I felt that hit a little too close, because that's exactly how I felt now. I kept reading, digging through comments, replies, anything connected to the post. Eventually, I found something useful. Someone had linked a local news article. I opened it. Same basic information, but at the bottom, there was something new. An interview with the family. Short, just a few quotes. Most of it was what you'd expect, but one line stood out. From the mother. It felt like he wasn't himself those last few days. I read that line 3 times because I didn't know what it meant. Not really, but I knew it mattered. I clicked through more links, found an address tied to the family. Public record stuff. It didn't take long. Different state, about 6 hours away. I stared at it for a while, then looked back at my profile on the site. Still updating, still tracking, and near the top, something new had appeared, a section I hadn't noticed before. Collection window, under it, a date, and a time. 2 days from now. My stomach dropped, because that was new, that hadn't been there before. Which meant something had changed. Something about me. I didn't sit there and think about it. I didn't try to rationalize it. I just closed the laptop, stood up, and started getting ready. Because if that site was telling the truth, then I didn't have 2 days to figure this out. I had less than that. The drive felt longer than it should have. I left that same morning. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't bring much. Just enough to get there. The whole time, I kept thinking about what I was going to do when I arrived. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I needed to see it for myself. See them. Because if that family was real, and he was real, then maybe I wasn't losing my mind. Or maybe I was. I didn't know anymore. By the time I got into their town, it was already getting dark. Small place. Quiet. The kind of place where nothing really happens. Which made what I was doing feel even worse. I parked a few streets away from the address. Sat in my car for a few minutes. Just watching. Trying to calm myself down. Then I got out. Walked the rest of the way. Kept my distance. Didn't want to be seen. The house was exactly what you'd expect. Normal. Lights on inside. Car in the driveway. Nothing out of place. I stayed across the street, half hidden behind a parked car, and I watched. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the front door opened. A woman stepped out. Mid-50s, maybe? Tired. She stood on the porch for a second, looking out into the street. And for a split second, her eyes landed on me. I froze. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. And I swear, something changed in her expression. Not confusion, not curiosity, recognition, like she knew. Then she looked away, went back inside, and closed the door. I stayed there for another 10 minutes, trying to convince myself I imagined it. But I hadn't. I knew I hadn't, because there was no reason she should have looked at me like that. None. Unless she had seen my face before. I came back the next day, earlier this time. Parked farther away, took a different route. I didn't want to risk being seen again. I just wanted to watch, learn something, anything. Around mid-afternoon, someone else came out. A man, older. He walked to the mailbox, grabbed something, then turned. And for a second, I thought he was going to drop everything. He just stared, right at me, from across the street, too far to see clearly, but I could feel it. That same look, recognition. Then something else, fear. He went back inside immediately. Didn't even check the mail, just left it in his hand. That's when I knew. They knew. Or at least, they suspected something. And that meant I wasn't crazy. Which should have made me feel better, but it didn't. Because if they knew, then whatever this was had happened before. That night, I went back to my car and opened my laptop. I connected to a public network. Didn't want to use anything tied to me. Then I went back to the site. My profile loaded instantly. Updated. New entries. Subject has deviated from routine. Location variance significant. Then another line appeared, right in front of me. Subject has entered proximity of matched family. My chest tightened, because that confirmed it. The site knew where I was, what I was doing, why I was there. And then I saw something else. A new section, one I hadn't seen before. Related files. There were a few entries, most of them labeled with codes I didn't understand. But one stood out. A name, my dad's. I felt my stomach drop because that didn't make sense. He had nothing to do with this. He couldn't. He was gone. He died when I was a kid. That's what I'd been told my whole life. I hesitated. Then I clicked it. The file opened. Same format as everything else. Plain, clinical, cold. There were logs, dates going back years, before I even found the site, before Daniel disappeared, before any of this. I scrolled, trying to understand what I was looking at. Then I saw it, a line near the top. Primary subject terminated, and right under it, replacement successful. I felt my hands go cold, because I didn't understand it completely, but I understood enough. And then I saw his name again, my dad's, listed as active supervisor role. I just stared at it, because that meant one thing. He wasn't dead. He never was. And whatever this was, he was part of it. Still part of it. The page refreshed. A new line appeared. Subject awareness increasing. Then another. Intervention may be required. I closed the laptop slowly, looked up at the house across the street. Lights still on, people still inside, living their lives. And I realized something I hadn't fully accepted yet. This wasn't about a missing person. It wasn't about a coincidence. It wasn't even about me anymore. This was something bigger. Something that had been going on long before I found that post, long before I even knew to look. And now, I was part of it, whether I wanted to be or not, and somewhere out there, my dad was still alive, watching it happen. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in my car across the street, laptop closed, staring at the house. Every light, every movement behind the curtains, every shadow. Because now I knew two things for sure. They knew what I was, and my dad was still alive. Somewhere in the middle of all of this. I kept thinking about that file. Primary subject terminated. Replacement successful. Over and over, trying to understand what it actually meant. Trying not to understand it. Because if I did, then there was a real chance that everything I thought I knew about my life wasn't real. Around 6 a.m., the street started to wake up. Cars passing, lights turning on in other houses. Normal life. It made everything feel worse. Because whatever this was, it was happening right under all of that. Quiet, hidden, like it had always been there. I made a decision. I couldn't just sit there anymore. I needed answers. And I wasn't getting them from a screen. I walked up to the house just after 7. No plan. No idea what I was going to say. Just done waiting. I knocked. The sound felt too loud, like it didn't belong there. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then I heard movement inside. Slow, careful. The door opened just a crack. The same woman from yesterday. She looked at me, and whatever she had been expecting, it wasn't this. Her face drained instantly. Not confusion, not shock. Recognition, pure, immediate recognition. She didn't say anything, just stared. And I said the only thing I could think of. Daniel. Her hand tightened on the door. For a second, I thought she was going to slam it shut. Instead, she opened it wider, just enough for me to see inside. "Come in," she said quietly. The house felt normal. Too normal. Family photos on the walls, furniture that had probably been there for years. Nothing out of place, except me. She led me into the living room. The man I saw yesterday was already there, standing, waiting. He didn't look surprised to see me, just tired. Like this was something he had been expecting, or dreading. No one spoke for a few seconds. Then he said, "You shouldn't have come here." Same tone, same words. I felt that cold feeling again. "I saw the post," I said, "on Reddit." They exchanged a look. Not confusion, not disbelief, just confirmation. Like that explained everything. "I'm not him," I added quickly, even though it didn't feel entirely true. "I know," the woman said. That stopped me. Because she didn't hesitate. Didn't question it. She just knew. "How?" I asked. She looked at me for a long time before answering. "Because you're early." That didn't make sense. Or maybe it did, and I just didn't want it to. What does that mean? The man stepped forward slightly. "Sit down," he said. I didn't want to, but I did. Because at that point, I needed to hear it. Whatever it was. They told me everything. Not all at once. Slowly, like they had gone over it 100 times before, like they were trying to make sure they said it right. Their son, Daniel, hadn't always been off. It started small, little things, forgetting things he shouldn't forget, remembering things he shouldn't know, habits changing overnight. Then bigger things. He started asking questions about his childhood, about things that didn't add up, about memories that felt incomplete. And then one night, he said something that stuck with them. The woman's voice shook slightly when she repeated it. He said, "I don't think I'm the only one." I felt my stomach drop because I knew exactly what that meant. "He found something," the man said. "We don't know what. He wouldn't show us. But after that, he changed. More distant, more paranoid, always on his computer, always looking over his shoulder. Then, one day, he was gone. Just like that. No warning, no explanation. "And then you showed up," I said quietly. The woman nodded. "But not like this." "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then stood up and walked over to a drawer, opened it, pulled something out, and handed it to me. A photo. I looked down at it and felt everything drop out from under me. It was me, standing in front of this house, same angle, same clothes, but I had never taken that picture. 3 days after he disappeared, she said, "You came here." I shook my head immediately. "No, that's not possible. You were home," she cut in. "I know. That's what makes it worse." I stared at the photo because I couldn't explain it. I couldn't deny it. And deep down, I knew what it meant. There wasn't just one of us. I left the house an hour later. My head felt heavy, like I was carrying something I couldn't put down, because now I knew. This wasn't new. This wasn't random. This had happened before, and not just to Daniel. To me. I went straight back to my car and opened my laptop. Connected. Pulled up the site. My profile loaded instantly. New updates, more activity. But that wasn't what I was looking for. I went to the files, back to my dad, opened everything I could, scrolled, read, forced myself to understand it. And piece by piece, it started to make sense. Not cloning. Not exactly. Replication, replacement. People selected, studied, copied. One version lives normally, the other is monitored, adjusted, tested. And when something goes wrong, they're removed, replaced, cleaned up, quietly, efficiently, like it never happened. And my dad was part of it. Not just part of it. He helped build it. Then I saw something else. A recent log, time-stamped from that same day. Supervisor active on site. Location, the same town I was in. My heart started racing, because that meant he was here, right now. It didn't take long to narrow it down. The logs were precise. Coordinates, patterns. I followed them, drove about 15 minutes outside town, to an old building, industrial, abandoned, or at least it looked like it. No lights, no signs. Nothing that would make you stop and look twice. Except I knew better now. I parked a distance away, sat there for a minute, then got out, walked toward it. Every step felt heavier. like I was getting closer to something I wasn't supposed to see. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open slowly. Inside was dark, quiet, but not empty. There were lights deeper inside, faint. I followed them, down a hallway, past rooms with equipment, computers, screens, all running, all active. And then I saw him, standing in the center of the room, back turned, looking at a monitor. He didn't turn around right away, just said, "You weren't supposed to find this." My chest tightened, because I knew that voice, even after all these years. "Dad." He turned, looked exactly the same. Not older, not different. Exactly how I remembered him, which somehow made it worse. "You shouldn't have come," he said. Same words, same tone, like everyone else. "Neither should you," I said. "You're supposed to be dead." He gave a small smile. "Technically, I am." That hit harder than anything else. "Then what are you?" I asked. He looked at me for a long second, then said, "What you are." Silent, heavy, unavoidable. "Which one of us is real?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, "Does it matter?" Yeah, it did. More than anything. I don't remember everything that happened after that. Not clearly. Just pieces, fragments, pulling files, copying data, trying to understand the system enough to break it, or expose it, or do something, anything. At some point, alarms started, systems reacting, profiles glitching, logs duplicating, everything starting to collapse in on itself. And through all of it, he just watched. Calm, unbothered, like he had seen it happen before. "Even if you shut this down," he said, "it won't stop." I didn't answer. I just kept going, because I didn't care if it stopped everywhere. I just needed it to stop here, for me. I left before everything fully went dark. Didn't look back, didn't wait, just drove for hours, until I felt far enough away, safe, or at least safer. The site went offline that night. Wouldn't load, wouldn't respond. Nothing. Like it had never existed. Days passed. No updates, no tracking, no signs of anything. Life started to feel normal again, or close enough. I stopped checking, stopped thinking about it as much, told myself it was over, that I had done enough, that whatever this was, I had broken it. A week later, I opened my laptop, out of habit. I don't even know why. I typed the link, didn't expect anything. But it loaded instantly, clean, updated, like nothing had ever happened. My chest tightened. I clicked the search bar, hands shaking slightly. Typed my name, hit enter. The profile appeared. New photo, new timeline, everything. Clean, controlled. And then I saw it. The status. Replacement active. I froze. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. Because I understood. I finally understood. I hadn't shut it down. I hadn't stopped anything. I had just continued it. I clicked another tab, Archive scrolled, and found my old profile. Same one I saw before. Same entries. Same timeline. But now labeled discontinued. A sound came from behind me. Soft. Barely there. I turned slowly. Nothing. My phone lit up on the desk. Unknown number, one message. I stared at it, then opened it. Thank you for your cooperation. I looked back at the screen, at the profile, at the photo. And for the first time, I couldn't tell if it was me anymore, or something that just looked like me, something that had always been there, waiting. And I realized something I don't think I ever will be able to prove. I don't think I shut it down. I think I just helped replace myself.